President Donald Trump's contempt for the poor has been on full display ever since he was sworn into office, and this isn't something that's really surprising because we all knew before he was elected that he was a corrupt, greedy billionaire. But it's problematic because during the campaign, he ran as a populist who claimed to be someone who supports the working class. Now, we all knew that that was bullshit, but ever since he was elected, he's moved away from the anti-establishment rhetoric that he espoused on the campaign trail, and he's shown that he doesn't care about the poor, and he only wants to serve the rich and himself. So, for example, he immediately appointed people from Wall Street to his administration, and recently, he actually defended his decision to do this with a justification that proves just how much he really hates the poor, and it is completely sickening. So, according to CNBC, they report that President Donald Trump has offered a simple explanation for his wealthy cabinet choices. Rich people know how to manage money better than poor people do. In a rambling aside at a rally in Iowa on Wednesday night, Trump responded to criticism about his choices for top economic jobs, including billionaire investor Wilbur Ross for Commerce Secretary and former Goldman Sachs President Gary Cohn for Chief Economic Advisor. Trump, who bashed Goldman Sachs during the presidential campaign, received backlash for choosing wealthy Wall Street figures for top administration posts. Many of his nominees had complex financial holdings around the world, which created myriad potential conflicts. Trump contended on Wednesday that wealthy people can better run the U.S. economy because they do not need money. And he went on to explain verbatim, "So somebody said, why did you appoint a rich person to be in charge of the economy? I said, because that's the kind of thinking we want. I mean, really. Because they're representing the country. They don't want the money. They're representing the country, and they had to give up a lot to take these jobs. They gave up a lot. And you get the president. This is the president of Goldman Sachs. Smart. Having him represent us. He went from massive paydays to peanuts to little tiny. I'm waiting for them to accuse him of wanting that little amount of money. They wanted that, but these are people that are great, brilliant business minds, and that's what we need. That's what we have so the world doesn't take. We can't have the world taking advantage of us anymore. And I love all people, rich or poor, but in those particular positions, I just don't want a poor person. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If you insist, I'll do it, but I like it better this way, right?" So, reading any quotes from Donald Trump verbatim is very difficult because he struggles to string together a coherent sentence, but hearing him talk about how, poor people, they're just not as smart as rich people. While he sounds like a fucking caveman, it's just mind-boggling to me. It makes me so angry. I mean, if you're going to talk about how superior the rich are to the poor, maybe improve your vocabulary at least marginally. I mean, Jesus Christ, he sounds like a literal caveman. So what he's doing here is he's making two arguments. One, he is saying that rich people are smarter than poor people because they have more money. That's what he's implying. And second of all, he's saying that they aren't corrupt because they're taking less money in this government position. So there's no way that there could possibly be a conflict of interest. Now, again, I'm kind of filling in the blanks because what he said here is it's really incoherent and difficult to ascertain what he's trying to say. But nonetheless, this is the argument that he's making. Those are the 2 points. So when it comes to his insistence that rich people are just better with money and therefore presumably smarter than poor people, I unequivocally reject that claim. Rich people are not smarter than poor people. They're not. That's factually incorrect, and Donald Trump is perhaps the best example to show that just because you have money doesn't mean that you are smart or have class even. So this wealthy buffoon who can barely string together a sentence that makes any sense whatsoever is saying, rich people like him, they know more than us, they're better than us, they're smarter than us, they're just superior in every single way. So we should allow them to control our government, even though I railed against that during the campaign and am a gigantic hypocrite. But I mean, that's what we should do. We should allow the smart to govern the country. And additionally, what he's ignoring is the fact that wealth is often generational, meaning you're born into it. Like Donald Trump, his daddy left him millions upon millions of dollars. We all didn't get that head start. We are struggling. I mean, for $1 million, could you imagine what a family could do with $1 million? He was born into that, and he still went bankrupt multiple times. And this imbecile is sitting here telling us that rich people are better with money. This guy has so much nerve. I mean, what an asshole. What a complete asshole he is, claiming that the rich are superior to the poor. Go fuck yourself, Donald Trump. Now, let's get to the second part of his argument. He says that, they're not corrupt because they're taking less money. So the fact that they are leaving their cushy jobs as CEOs and coming to work for him, Gary Cohn, the president of Goldman Sachs, he can't possibly look out for anyone but the American people. He's principled because he took this pay cut. Right, nobody's really making that argument, but what you're missing is the fact that we have this revolving door in Washington where they leave their job as a CEO on Wall Street, they go and work for government, regulate the industry they came from, and then they go right back to that same industry. So the fact that he's taking less money now, doesn't mean dick when you consider the payoff he's going to get when he inevitably goes back to Goldman Sachs or Wall Street. So Donald Trump, he has a fundamental misunderstanding of the way the world works, and he is proof that rich people are not smarter than poor people. Money does not equal smarts, and it certainly doesn't equal worth. We are all equal human beings. We all shit. Our shit stinks. We all are humans. We all bleed red. So to say that because someone has money makes them superior, that's complete bullshit.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.